Hey guys, it's Carl O'Rourke from Metal Wani, and joining us today is the one and only Gus G. Welcome, man. How are you doing today?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So let's jump straight in. You have a record coming out next week entitled Fearless, and let me start by saying that it is such a great and fun record to listen to, man. So congratulations on the achievement, first of all.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
So tell us a little bit about the thinking behind Fearless. What did you set out to do on this record?
Really, I mean, the whole idea was to, as always, start by having good material, write the best songs possible. And, I mean, the general goal was to really make a record that will define who I am as a solo artist and, what's my sound and style. Whereas on the first two records, I did a lot of collaborations with different artists, producers, singers, you name it. It was a lot of experimenting, where this album is a more cohesive effort, I would say.
Right, cool. And what does the title Fearless mean for you, especially with this being your solo record?
Well, originally I wanted to call it Scared Shitless, but somebody said that, okay, maybe that'll not go down too well, and maybe people will think it's negative, so I
Right.
changed it to Fearless. No, but the thing is, with this record, I mean, I was with the title. I was writing this instrumental, and I realized pretty early on that it was a pretty technically demanding track. So I was like, well, I shouldn't hold back. I should just go all in with it, and I just named it Fearless. I always, I had that title somewhere, written down, and I was like, it was one of those titles I was going to use. But I mean, honestly, the meaning is it's a general meaning behind the whole statement of the record, whereas I think fear is what really holds people back from doing what they want to do in their life. And
Right.
Once you realize that we only got one shot, one life, you should really go out there and be fearless. That's what being fearless is about. Just really doing what you want. And I think people are just scared of the possibility of failure. I don't know if that's whether they're going to fail in their eyes of their parents or their significant other or their friends, but I think that's what holds a lot of people back and why they're not succeeding in what they want to do.
Very cool, man. I think a personal favourite for me would have to be Don't Tread on Me, but I thought it was really cool to learn that you answered some fan prayers too by doing some more instrumental tracks, which you definitely deliver on this record. Do you often take your fans' desires on board when you set out to make new music?
Not very often, but to be honest, but I'm a kind of guy that listens. I don't only live in my own bubble. I mean, I guess every artist kind of sort of lives in their own world, but I do. Especially when I do all these guitar clinics, and people get to pick my brain about and ask me about things. I also get to ask them and also find out things about my audience and what they like or what they want to know and how they feel about certain pieces of music and stuff like that. So yeah, I do listen to people. Yeah, and this time I just happened to have a lot more ideas flowing around that could become cool instrumental tracks. So that's what it was all really.
It's very cool that you stay that connected with them. And how does writing the instrumental numbers differ for you than the songs with vocals? Is it more fun? Does it present different challenges?
It is a different approach, I have to say, because I'm so used to writing songs for with vocals in mind. Writing an instrumental is just the guitar has a different role. It has obviously a leading role, and you have to really, I don't know, it has to take kind of like the role, the place of the voice of the vocals.
Sure.
Now, some songs when I write instrumentals are usually a bit more metal and a bit more aggressive or fast or technical, but I always try to not forget about the melody on there.
Right. Sure. So, man, you have played with a wide range of different artists, including Arch Enemy, Kamelot, and of course you spent time with Ozzy Osbourne, to name a few. And I know that one of your earliest influence, if not the earliest one for you, was listening to Peter Frampton's Frampton Comes Alive. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Did you ever think that one day you'd be playing with someone like Ozzy when you were back then listening to such a record? And not just on the same bill, but in the same band?
Yeah, absolutely no, man. I never had any, not even in my wildest dreams I would have ever thought about that this was going to happen in my life. it's pretty surreal, you know. Even looking back now, it almost seems like another lifetime away. I'm like, wow, did all this stuff happen? But yeah, it did, and it was. I'm really grateful, you know. It's been I've had a great run with him, and you know, it really opened a lot of doors for me, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, if you could pinpoint the most important thing, in your opinion, that you learned from your time with the man himself, what would that be?
Ooh, there's a lot of things, you know. It's not like you learn only one thing.
Okay, well, the top three.
I mean, one thing is like, you know, obviously, it made me a much better professional, a better player. I really needed to step up my game when it comes to playing, you know, also like stage presence, but also just the philosophy behind, you know, how you approach the whole business. You know, I saw how down to earth these people were, and you know, how hard they worked. Because people think all kinds of things, like, okay, when you're at that level, you don't care so much, and you know, all you do is sit around. But you know, Ozzy's a guy who works hard still to this day, you know. So I took a lot from him, you know. And you know, he always said, you know, leave the gig at the stage. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, you go down, you go backstage after the show, and you're like, oh, you fucked up this note and you messed up there and stuff. And he's like, you know, leave the gig at the stage. That's rock and roll. You know, mistakes happen.
Yeah, that's a very cool approach, very cool mindset to take to it.
Yeah.
So, and now, I mean, like, you're going out as a solo artist now. Are you excited about this? Are you nervous about it? Because I know a lot of people are very excited, you know, to see you do this now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm of course excited. And I've done 2 solo records now, and I've toured quite a bit.
Yeah.
And right now, people are, you know, it takes a while until people kind of notice what you're doing. It'll take 3 or 4 albums. It was the same thing when Firewood started out. It wasn't until the 4th album that we had like a breakthrough, and people realized who the band was and what we were doing. So,
which is an awesome record, by the way.
It's a little bit of a similar kind of feeling now. You know, it's a 3rd solo record, and people are catching up to what I'm doing now. And there seems to be quite some interest and a lot of feedback. So yeah, I'm just blessed to have the fans that I have, and they've been so supportive, really. So I'm excited to bring the show on the road.
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you think there's any chance we might get you over here in Dublin?
You know, we've been talking about some UK dates this fall, and I'm supposed to have a catch up with my agent pretty soon now, and I hope the dates will include Ireland, you know, whole of UK, really. So let's see. That
would be awesome, man. Just to kind of go back to it, you know, things have kind of come full circle with that role you had in Ozzy's band with Zach now coming back. Did you see that coming? How does that feel now, man?
I definitely thought at some point it was going to happen. You know, it's not like I didn't. It's not like I took the gig for granted.
Of course.
Day one. There's so much history between them two up there. And I mean, at some point, I just knew that something was going to happen. Obviously, in 2012, we had the Ozzy and Friends shows, and then Zach was out with us, and he was playing again with Ozzy. So we all got along great, you know. And Zach has been very supportive of me. And so, I mean, for me, it's like, you know, this is Ozzy's band, and he can play with whoever he wants, you know. And of course, I think, you know, given the fact that this is the farewell tour for him, it's cool that he's bringing one of his iconic guitar players back, you know.
Of course, I know. I was at Epica's shows last night, and I was talking to a couple of friends, telling me I was chatting with you, and of course we were spitballing those hypothetical ideas, and one of them was, you know, if the opportunity ever presented itself for you to join, you know, Ozzy and Zach at a festival, or, you know, to become a full-time member in the band, would that be something you would ever be open to?
I don't know, man. I would always go back and jam with him. The door's always open. And like I said, we've jammed all together on the same stage before. We've done it many times on the Ozzy and Friends tour. So if there was ever a suggestion like that, yeah, man. Although I think in Ozzy's band, there's always been like that one guitar player. So who knows? Who knows? You know, it's like the thing is, you know, when I heard the news that this was happening, that, you know, we left the door open, and, you know, Sharon told me, you never know what's going to happen in the future. So
sure.
I said, yeah, it's, I mean, it's, you know, I never close any doors, you know. It's such a small business, you know. You really, you know, there's no time to make enemies here, you know?
No, of course. And like, as someone who is such a seasoned veteran as yourself, and who has, you know, played with so many artists, when it comes to, you know, the future of rock and metal, it really interests me when I'm interviewing artists to find just how varied the difference in opinion among them is. Some are positive and feel it's thriving, while others feel that it's, you know, kind of hanging by a thread. I'm curious, from your point of view, are you concerned or confident for the future of rock and metal, man?
I mean, I think there's always going to be room for great talent, up-and-coming talent, and there's always going to be some sort of evolution. So I don't think rock is ever going to go away, really. So I think, you know, once the really big guys are gone out of the picture, you know, whether they're quitting or they're getting too old or they're passing away, you know, there might be some small gap there, but eventually we will see more artists like emerging to that level.
Yeah, it's very interesting that you touch on that, because that seems to be the concern with a lot of people, is that there are so many of the greats now calling it a day or bowing out. And of course, given the industry state right now, it's so hard for these new bands to survive and take up that mantle. So everybody's kind of wondering, you know, who's going to be left?
Well, I think there's a lot of bands out there, isn't there?
Absolutely, yeah. But to get to that,
you know, it's on one hand, it's like, I know what our people are scared of. You know, that okay, once the really big names are out of the picture, how are the festivals going to look like? But on the other hand, you have to think like this: like, at some point, if the big guys don't make way for the younger generations, how are we going to have, you know, new artists emerge at that level and take that spot? So I mean, the torch must be passed on.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, I don't want to take up too much of your time. Thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today. It's been so cool getting to chat with you, and the very best of luck with when the album comes out next week and everything that follows that.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right, you have a great day, man.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.